Scrutiny normally falls within general oversight functions of Parliament, be it at regional or national level. At the regional level, parliamentary powers are derived from articles of treaty, while national parliaments derive their powers from their constitutions. The objectives of national budget differ significantly from those of regional parliaments and regional budgets. National budgets are determined by development goals of building infrastructure and the rest, while regional expenditure out of their budget is focused on integration functions, that is facilitating market union, political union, and all the other condiments that go with it, or with these. Even though the objective in the end ultimately is the same, to facilitate the development of our various nations and eliminate poverty, eliminate hunger, create peace and security and the rest. Now, the national budgets also have partisan linkages, and thus are more likely to harbor inefficiencies. Regional budgets and institutions are non-partisan, normally non-partisan, and usually operate on best practices of transparency and good governance. Thus, oversight methodology, scrutiny of the budget will differ in terms of objectives and even the nitty-gritties of how this is done. Regional budget oversight and scrutiny may focus on development of markets and political union regulatory frameworks and implementation of such regulatory frameworks, while oversight of national budgets may focus on developmental policies and how such developmental policies are attempt to create welfare, general well-being of the people. In the past, we've developed what we call an oversight manual. A lot of the scrutiny issues are in the development, in the oversight manual, which was submitted to the Secretary General of the ECOWAS Parliament. I would refer to such a manual and on few instances even quote from the manual. Now, what are the objectives of parliamentary scrutiny? First is the exercise of legal mandate. There must be a law backing this activity. Ensure that proposed policies and strategies will provide optimum services to be delivered. Ensure that all spending are lawful. Ensure that the budget proposal captures objectives and activities set out in the strategic plan or short and medium-term plans or frameworks. Then you have another category, which is expenditure oversight, different from policy oversight. Expenditure oversight is actually holding the executive, the commission, for example, accountable for the expenditure made through expenditure audit and policy censure. Ensure consistency between the estimates allocations in the statement, and also check all the sources of revenue and the different budget classifications. You drive improvements. Also, all this expenditure must drive improvements in public service delivery and allow for the intake of concerns and interests of groups and communities. You also have revenue oversight. It's not just expenditure oversight or policy oversight, you have revenue oversight, which is another category of oversight and scrutiny. You must first look at the sources of revenue and the revenue estimates. Do they align the sources of revenue and then the revenue estimates, if there's so much gap, then you'll be operating a deficit. Is deficit allowed at the regional level? I know parliaments have debt financing portfolios and so on, but at the regional parliaments, I don't think that is allowed. Then you look at the accruals and the strategies for revenue mobilization. This is what the parliament should scrutinize. If you have stated sources of revenue and their estimates, you have to also compare that with the accruals and the effectiveness of revenue mobilization. I know the regional parliament suffers some disadvantage because the budget is dependent on contributions from states, from member states. And you may find a situation where so many member states fail to meet up to their contributions. So in scrutinizing the budget, you have to really look at why there are such failures. Has the system been effective in really doing its work of mobilizing and getting these accruals from the states? What are the shortfalls? Efficiency in allocation. These are the things that the parliament should look at if you are studying the budget. The expenditure policy and the revenue side. Now the policy oversight, to start with, the first thing you need to look at is the legal framework. And you know the legal framework for the ECOWAS Parliament, we've just been told, so I'll skip it. The next slide is also the legal framework. I think Dr. Drama has done justice to that. Same thing with the next slide. I think the conclusion that we have here is that the ECOWAS Parliament, in terms of legal framework, is still emerging. Its powers quite slim, and we still have a long way to go, as Dr. Drama said, but surely and slowly we'll be there one day. Now let's look at a benchmark, which we also looked at, but maybe from a different perspective. The EU Parliament, its legal powers. We know that the EU Parliament has much broader power or powers or power of control over the budget and budget implementation. Some of these powers are quoted on the slides, and there are quite many of such powers that relate to budget scrutiny and budget oversight. We've mentioned discharge, spending discharge. This is one of the most important powers of the EU Parliament. Discharge just means approval of the budget. I know there was a time in 1999 when the European Community denied, is it 1996? Denied discharge to the Commission, and the Commission failed because of that. Since then, there are several denials of discharge, and that shows how powerful the Parliament, European Parliament is in terms of controlling the budget. The EU Parliament also has powers to inquire and even initiate prosecution in the courts. Again, The EU Parliament has powers to engage in external control through national audit institutions and the European Court of Auditors. Detailed reports each year are submitted to the budgetary authority in accordance with the legal instruments. The statement of assurance as to the reliability of accounts and the legality and regularity of underlying transactions are also properly scrutinized. Annual report and implementation of the general budget, including budgets, all the institutions and satellite bodies, they are all under the budgetary control of the EU Parliament. And one thing that is really important is the evaluation and impact assessment reports. The EU Parliament has an organ for evaluation and impact assessment report, a whole agency that does that, a directorate actually. And it also evaluates performance on an annual basis. You have the CONT, which is the budgetary control director of the EU Parliament. Let's look at what it does. It prepares the Parliament's position on budgets every year, taking cognizance into what? Scrutinization of the implementation reports of the EU budget, European Development Fund and the rest, closing, presenting and auditing the accounts and balance sheets of EU, its institutions and all other bodies financed by it. It also scrutinizes the financial activities of the European Union Investment Bank, the European Investment Bank. It also monitors the cost effectiveness of various forms of EU funding in connection with the implementation of EU policies. These are all based on the stated articles of association. Again, we still look at some other sides of policy oversight, which is the scrutiny must ensure that all expenditure, all spending are lawful. Again, one has to look at all lines of expenditure compared to all the regulations guiding those expenditure. I know in some cases where illegal budget reallocations were identified, they were punished. It's against the law to expend where it is illegal. Budget scrutiny, especially ex post, must ensure no infringements on the approved budget and other budget laws and regulations. The EU has even a special regulation on that. In scrutinizing the budget, you must ensure that policies and strategic plans are tightly linked to the budget. You have the strategic plan, you have the annual work plan. Are these in tandem with the budget submitted by the ECOWAS Commission? Are they in tandem? Do they match? Because there must be 100% match. Otherwise, there's then some form of illegality. So this is a major aspect.
I'll give you 3 more minutes to wind up because we still have 2 more papers.
Okay, thank you.